Welcome everyone to the Wikipedia and Collaborative Humanities lecture. My name is Savannah Cragen and I am the 4Cs Wikipedian in Residence. This session will report on the work of the 4Cs Wikipedia Initiative and Wiki Project writing and the challenges, successes, and areas for growth in establishing pathways for academic contributors to Wikipedia. So a little bit about the 4Cs. It stands for the Conference on College Composition and Communication. It's the largest professional association of scholars and teachers of composition and rhetoric in higher education. And the 4Cs Wikipedia Initiative developed in an effort to organize the efforts of writing scholars interested in addressing knowledge inequities in Wikipedia articles. So why is this important? Well, we know academics have important access to knowledge and beliefs about topics and figures undocumented on Wikipedia. They have the ability to improve vital, foundational, and general interest articles that are in desperate need of edits and contributions. And they have a bird's eye view of research and scholarship in their areas of specialization, which gives them a greater understanding of what content gaps exist and how to fix them. So we've seen this type of expert-driven work done in the sciences on Wikipedia. We've seen it in the context of teaching in higher education, but we've yet to really address how major knowledge inequities could be addressed through the participation of scholars in the humanities. The public is cut off from new or updated knowledge about topics within the humanities because their Wikipedia articles are attached to older versions of literacy. A common public misconception persists that new or developing epistemologies are more prevalent in the sciences, and this severely limits educational policy and sound curricula at all education levels, and leads people to devalue their own diverse and rich literate lives. So where are we? Well, scholars within the fields of rhetoric, composition, technical communication, literacy, and language studies are well equipped to contribute, to mediate, and to edit existing material based on their understandings of how knowledge has changed over time, and the relevant scholarship to help back up this new material. Here I have a list of vital articles or articles identified by the Wikipedian community that editors should prioritize for development to featured article status. As you can see, a lot of these core articles within writing studies remain at a C class. This is alarming if you think about how many people visit these pages for information daily, particularly for use in completing their own coursework for classes that aim to develop core writing skills. Specifically, these high-traffic articles lack fundamental understandings of how knowledge has changed over time, as well as a clear picture of the breadth and depth of knowledge on each topic. So, what have we done? We developed a wiki project, or a collaborative space on Wikipedia for editors to improve Wikipedia articles related to a specific topic or field of interest. Specifically, Wiki Project Writing is a group of editors focused on developing Wikipedia content related to the fields of rhetoric, composition, technical communication, literacy, and language studies. Wiki projects are a great tool for engaging scholars within writing studies because it functions similarly to a giant virtual writing group, which is something they are already quite familiar with. So I want to focus on two features we've worked to develop this past year that have been particularly successful in engaging scholars fairly new to editing Wikipedia. Here I've highlighted a few of our crowdsourced article lists with corresponding breadcrumbs or notes participants think about how to contribute to an article. For example, we have several articles for marginalized teacher scholars that can be difficult to establish traditional notability standards to. Here we add national awards that can help establish or bolster this, as well as scholars who add to these lists find this an easy way to start exploring Wikipedia and to understand what content gaps are truly apparent in this giant public knowledge base, which also leads them to value and recognize Wikipedia as a form of public scholarship. So what we've kind of done with the 4Cs Wikipedia Initiative is we've created programs, events, and resources catered to academics, and specifically academics within the humanities. Our work is twofold here. We are developing skills and understanding and creating community support structures to help sustain ongoing contributions. We host 2 monthly workshops. One of them is an introductory one that sort of explains to scholars how Wikipedia can be a form of public scholarship, and the other one sort of gets them acquainted with Wiki project writing and how they can utilize it as a resource to get started with editing. We also have office hours for one-on-one help, a coffee house, or a place where scholars can come to chat about their projects, edit, or watch me edit Wikipedia on a different topic of interest. As well as monthly spotlights, which allow us to work with 4C member groups. These are groups that focus on specific fields of interest. So there's the Asian American Caucus, the Black Caucus, Disability Rhetorics, and the Global Transnational Rhetorics Group, which are just a few of the many member groups that we are working with currently. So here's an example of one of our first spotlights that we rolled out this past year on Wiki project writing. These are asynchronous events, and this one's focused on centering BIPOC women in writing studies. So what does expert article mediation look like? I know for a lot of scholars or Wikipedians, it can be hard to visualize what a successful expert-mediated collaboration might look like. I just want to highlight one of the Wiki project writing participants who worked on an article for literacy. I like this example because it highlights how knowledge in the humanities evolves throughout time and the importance of scholars in updating this information. So this little example here is taken from the View History tab. This was his edit summary for one of his edits. And this particular user was trying to update an outdated understanding of literacy mentioned in the lead section of the article. Another editor had tried to defend it by citing a government-issued handout from over a decade ago. As you can see, this user, compositionist, attempted a compromise by explaining why this example is outdated within the article itself without deleting the source from the knowledge record. So I think it's really important to see how these sorts of interactions can create compromises and sort of form consensus on topics. So what needs to be done? We need to inform writing studies knowledge across language Wikipedias by establishing a translation task force on Wiki project writing. There are so many global perspectives that need to be better represented in these vital, high traffic, and general interest articles. And the 4Cs is really well positioned to achieve this by collaborating with academic organizations outside the US. Additionally, we really need to cultivate professional pathways for scholars in the humanities to counteract Wikipedia hostile academic attitudes. In a publish or perish environment, many scholars do not feel intrinsically motivated to prioritize contributing to Wikipedia, although I think there are a lot of people who find value in it. So this year, we have just announced the 4C Wikipedia Graduate Fellowship Program, which aims to cultivate a sense of responsibility for improving global public knowledge, and hopefully create a pathway for emerging scholars to continue recognizing Wikipedia as an important form of public scholarship in their careers. Lastly, we need to improve the categorization and exposure to field-specific articles across multiple language Wikipedias. Moving forward, this means creating properly linked Wikidata items for writing studies articles in order to better define the scope and goals of Wiki project writing. Additionally, to better understand what content gaps exist globally, we need to develop query-generated lists of articles in need of creation to better combat knowledge inequities within writing studies and related fields. So a lot of this work is very similar to what Wiki Projects have already started to cultivate, such as Wiki Project Medicine or Wiki Project Women in Red. But specifically within our group, since it's so hard for scholars to already jump into a new platform and start learning about how to interact with it, creating these systems can make it a lot easier for them to jump in, and it makes a sort of user-friendly environment. All right, so that's all I have for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and check the Q&A, see if there's anything. All right, so it doesn't look like there's any questions right now. I think we can go ahead and end if that's the case.
Do you have any other questions?
Hi, Savannah.
Hi.
Did you say you want to end it?
I think so. I don't have much else, and I don't see any questions coming in.
Go live and you share your screen.
Okay.
You can then control your screen, then move the slide.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Going to remove myself. You enjoy your day?
Yeah, it was good. Had more time than I thought.
Cool. I'll just count you out.
I'm just gonna add you on LinkedIn. I'm literally adding the project.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I was just seeing your LinkedIn membership. Okay, oh, wow. Yes. Oh, you're currently based in the UK.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yep. So it's not too early for me.
Yeah, it's like